Hi, I'm Peter. In my 9-year journey on Amazon KDP, I made $4.5 million, but I made so many mistakes, which is why this video is so helpful to save you time, money, and wasted energy. Do yourself a favor and watch it all the way to the end so you can speed up your own journey, and do me a favor and drop a comment of the biggest mistake you're currently making so that I can know that these videos make a difference in your publishing journey. Enjoy. I want us to have some fun together. I want us to look at some books and see why might they not succeed like they hoped. Because let's face it, everyone who publish a book, they wish that their book would take off and make them a lot of money. But what you will learn is that wishing, that's not the best strategy when it comes to self-publishing. And let's begin with our friend here, ChatGPT. So, why are humans lazy from an evolutionary perspective? Humans can seem lazy because a long time ago, conserving energy was really important for survival. Imagine if you were living in the wild and food was hard to find. Your body would want to save as much energy as possible so you'd have enough strength to find food or escape danger when you really needed it. So sometimes your brain tells you to rest and not too much, just in case you need the energy later. That's why taking it easy feels natural. How are internet marketers now exploiting this feature in our brains related to making money online opportunities they want to sell us? Internet marketers exploit our natural tendency to seek the easiest path by offering quick and easy ways to make money online. They know that our brains are wired to avoid effort when possible, so they create ads and sales pitches that promise big rewards with little work. These opportunities often sound too good to be true, like making lots of money with just a few clicks or while you sleep. Okay, so you can pause and you can read the rest of it here, but I have interesting conversations with ChatGPT sometimes. So ChatGPT, it's very interesting if you know how to ask the right questions. Where do I want to go with this? I ask here about passive income and being able to work from anywhere. That's possible. For example, I built a 7-figure publishing business. Many of my books are producing a lot of passive income. So it is true, passive income does exist. And I've been able to work from 4 different countries this year. So working from anywhere, that's also true. It's also possible with self-publishing. So yes, passive income and remote work are possible, but they require significant effort, time, and learning upfront. Okay. So I think our answers here from ChatGPT are fairly truthful. And what I want to get to is that when I got sold the idea of starting self-publishing, this was late 2015, people were talking about making money online and living on a beach, and imagine working with your laptop on the beach, which is not very nice actually, because you can barely see the screen and you get sand. And so, but that is the dream, okay? That is what you're sold. Now, one objection that comes when we're sold these ideas of making money online is that, but what if it's hard? What if it requires work? So we want a step-by-step system. We want to be guaranteed when we're doing this investment, when we're jumping on this opportunity, we want it to feel safe. And internet marketers, of course, they understand this. They know that if they make it out to seem like it's hard, like it's going to require a lot of work, that it might even be a little bit of luck, especially if you don't have an advanced system, because they can't make an advanced system and at the same time promise it to be simple. So they have a tough time, in my opinion. And I hope you're able to follow along where I want to go with this. But in essence, we're not in 2015 anymore. It's not follow a simple system and make money fall from the sky. It does require a little bit more. So to give you some context, here is a publisher from 2014, I believe. So we can see that the covers are not very advanced. And I'm sure that if we look here, we're not going to see, we see a description that is very developed. So we see these tags as well. This is going down the memory lane. So, okay, but still, we can still see books like this. This is from 2023. I mean, the description is better in this one, but the cover, is way too basic. And hopefully you can also see this. If you're a complete beginner watching this, maybe it's hard to see, but hopefully you're able to see that you are now competing with a book like this, or even better, I would assume. So books like this, they're gonna struggle in 2024. Let's go over a popular keyword right now for many nonfiction publishers. And I think that the reason that this one has become so popular is because the numbers look so good, especially if you're following a simple system that have very simple rules. And remember, these systems, they need to have simple rules, because otherwise people will not follow them. One of the biggest hurdles in the beginning is overwhelm. So you can't overwhelm people with too much information, because then they're going to be stuck in paralysis by analysis. So in many ways, I do understand the challenge of working with complete beginners or teaching someone from scratch. I will not judge any course or anything, but in regards to the marketing, by looking at the introduction of this video, you can now understand why people are being told what they're being told. And it is because of our human tendency to want to avoid effort because of our evolutionary history. Okay, so Share Yoga for Seniors, we're on the first page. So we see some good books here, or books that are selling well. You can see here the cover. You can see we have over 60. Feel 10 years younger in just 10 minutes a day. Exercise book for. So the cover here, it looks nice. There's a video course included. Here we have a nice added detail. It says 10 minutes. So let's move on. This video will more so be about why books are not selling, but this first page, it can give you some context, which will make it easier for you to understand why the books are not selling. So here we see another book selling well. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that when we see a young book like this, we're in September as of the recording of this video. So this one hasn't been live for that long, which means that this publisher might be running ads at a loss. We don't know. We move on. Let's go to some pages further away. Let's go to page 3. Okay. Now we can start to analyze, okay, why are certain books not selling? So we have over 2,000 results. I would argue that there are books coming every week at least, maybe almost every day. I'm not sure. But this is a very popular keyword, and it is because a certain system is being followed, which looks at the numbers, which is fine. Numbers is one thing we want to take into consideration. But in my opinion, there are other factors as well. And but you can't overwhelm in the beginning because, like I said, people will not take action. So now we go a little bit more advanced. So Share Yoga for Seniors over 60. Regain self-sufficiency, alleviate stiff joints. Okay, so compare this one with this book. One thing I would encourage you as a publisher, depending on your skill level, is to put yourself in the shoes of the customer. So, why am I, as a customer, going to buy this book over this book? This is a question worth answering, especially when we're going into a niche like this. Why? What is it that this book has that this book doesn't have? It doesn't have more reviews. Yes, you can argue it's a young book. Maybe it will get there. But it doesn't have videos. This one has a video course included, according to the cover. It doesn't say anything about illustrations. Let's see if this one includes illustrations. So this one doesn't actually include illustrations in the titles, which was interesting. But I am sure we'll be able to see. So here we see they include illustrations, at least in the A+. But if we take a look and we say, okay, people, they want things fast, because it's not just us publishers, it's every human. Now, 10 years younger in just 10 minutes a day. That's promising quite a lot, but okay. 10 minutes per day, that's a benefit, because people want to save time and they don't want to think that they have to exercise for an hour, for example. So hopefully you're able to see that this book, in terms of the benefit for the customer, outweighs this book. Now, this book I like because if we take a look here, this publisher is giving us a little bit of a brand feeling. And I personally think these colors are attractive. So they are eye-catching. And that is something that is good. You can see the videos are included. So this could be something that is going to work very well for this publisher. We'll see with time what happens, but it looks promising. Now, let's take this one. So we open this book. I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but the cover, if you compare the cover with this cover, I think you'd say that this one is better because it doesn't look as professional. Here it looks like the text, like I can write this in Paint. I can paste this text in Paint. Now, I'm not trying to bash this publisher. I'm sincerely trying to help. So if you are this publisher, don't worry. It's all tough love. And one thing I want to give you some insight into as well. We can see this is an AI image, 95% sure. And the text as well is AI written out. Put some extra effort into the formatting. Kudos for that. But if we read here, I know that this is AI. Now, if you want to make your own conclusion, you're free to do that. But that is one thing to keep in mind. Okay, if I just publish an AI book like this, is it going to stand out? Or is it going to be just providing what is already out there in terms of information? Why am I giving the reader a reason to buy my book? Because information, if you think about it, you can produce information with a click of a button. Information in and of itself is becoming less and less valuable. So that is not the thing that people are buying. And unless you're able to give a clear reason to why people should buy this book over the other books or books like this, it's almost a waste of time. So maybe this publisher will make some money from this book. Who knows? Maybe if it was written with AI, maybe the publisher didn't invest that much. Maybe he or she made the cover himself. But still, there's a time investment. So that's what I'm trying to save you. Because I believe that if I make you aware of this, that it's not a good use of your time to do what everyone else is doing or to do something mediocre. Imagine, yes, in the beginning, you'll learn through books like this. This is a great learning experience, and that's fine. Sometimes you need to learn by doing it yourself. But at some point, you want to think, okay, I can either spend my time publishing books like this, or I can put some extra effort and try to do something which is really great and something that can make a difference, something that can offer a transformation. And perhaps I can even apply some of my own experience and passion into it. And then I can build something really great. So that's worth thinking about as well. Let's move on. This book, it's not going to cut it. I will go quick and I will say, okay, this book yes, nice cover. Looks a little bit like the wall pilates for women covers. Now, one thing to keep in mind, small little details can play a role. So if we take a look here at the woman, I wouldn't say that she gives me a senior feeling. What do you think? Now, video courses, that's great. And she highlights that it's text and pictures. So that's fine. But remember, we want to get these small details, especially if we are in a big niche like this, in a high demand niche where there's a lot of competition. We want to make sure we get the components right. So this book is not going to make it. Maybe if the person has changed the cover, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll get a message 1 year from now and this one has become an international bestseller, but I doubt it. So if any of these books are your books, understand that I am simply trying to help. And I'm aiming to show you. So for example, this book, the cover, you can see that it's AI generated. Now, kudos for being specific, 153 poses. That's nice. But this one, we can see that it's AI generated. Looks a little bit blurry. The cover, again, looks like something I could at least make in Canva. So yes, image looks a little bit AI generated as well. And this one, I saw it, I searched it up. I don't want to click on these sponsors. I don't want to pay or have other publishers have to pay for my clicks like this. So I always search up, and let's see if I can find it. Here we have this publisher. Now this might be a real person, doctor. I wouldn't dare to call myself a doctor unless I was a doctor. So that is something to keep in mind. You always want to be truthful. So if he's a doctor, then I would not use AI like this. So I would lean into the fact that I'm a doctor. And I don't think that doctors, this doesn't give me the doctor feeling. And when I look at this, an AI generated image here as well. So this is not going to work, I would say. And if we take a look at his other book here, we can see that this one is selling better. And I like the color combination here and a doctor. And this looks more like a book that I would expect from a doctor in terms of, I think this image is AI generated, confident about that. But other than that, it does look more doctor-like. So if I were to be a doctor, either I go really pro and I'll do something like this, very professional, or I would look into a style such as this. This can definitely use some improvements, but this is more how I associate with professional books in terms of it's physiotherapists or books written by doctors, etc. Now this cover can definitely be better, but we see that he's got some decent covers. This one looks like a little bit more textbook cover, which is probably what you'd expect. But let's move on. Now here we see Share Yoga for Men over 50. Kudos for this publisher for taking a different approach. So this one I see potential in. 5-minute illustrated exercise. So this one could work, definitely. 10 minutes a day, make it clear that there's a video course. So here we see a better ranking. This one, not super confident about. This one, in the middle, I'm not confident it will be a bestseller by any means. If we take a look at this one, it's not going to work because of the cover. This woman looks a little bit AI generated. Now, I don't know if that really matters, but this cover, it's not going to cut it for this niche in order to sell very, very well. So that is one thing to keep in mind. So I want to, as much as possible in this video, give you what I see. So for weight loss 2. And yes, it's good to add detail like this. A circle can be nice, but I am not confident in this book. So let's search for a unicorn coloring book. So here we see the best-selling one, and we see the covers on the first page look nice. This one looks not, this one, maybe it's because it's new. Let's see how it sells. I really think the horse here can be attractive, but this text, it is a little bit hard to read, but it seems to be selling. So this is interesting. Okay, so now we are starting to get to books that don't sell as well. So if we take a look at some of the books here, we start to see a little bit of a decrease in terms of the quality. So usually it follows that the best books are usually on page 1 or early on. So the further we go here, I would assume that we get less and less good looking covers. Okay, so now we're on page 6, and if we take a look here, then we can start to see some examples of books that are not selling so well. And I will give you the reason. So if we take a look, we compare this cover to the covers we saw, or this one. You can see that this one looks much nicer. You can also see that it's not perfect in terms of capitalization. So the C here should be capitalized, same with the A. And these small little details can play a role in terms of the perception of the book. But I would say the cover is most likely what is working against this book. So what am I trying to tell you with this? Is that publishing has evolved. And I think that it's a better use of our time that we aim to develop and improve as publishers as much as we can, instead of publishing a book like this or a book like this. Because I'm not sure how much time this publisher spent on publishing this book or how much money he spent. But what I would like to do, my contribution, is ideally I'd like to put publishers on a better path in terms of where they put their time and their money so that they can be more useful. And that way I'm being more useful because I am being useful in my own publishing business. But if I can scale my knowledge, then I would help a lot more people. So the impact that I can have by helping other publishers is higher. And I want to end this video with something related to Viktor Frankl. So he was in a Nazi camp, and he observed that it wasn't the optimists that survived, it wasn't the pessimists, it was the realist. So Frankl observed that survival in concentration camps was less about physical strength and more about was mental and emotional resilience. They could find meaning in their suffering. And I don't want people to suffer in publishing unnecessarily, because I've done so many mistakes myself and so many things I would tell myself, even in the beginning of this year. If I could go back, I would tell myself, slow down, look at this, give people a reason for buying your books. Don't just waste time or money or someone else's time producing books that don't offer much of anything special. So the realists played a crucial role in survival. They were individuals who neither succumbed to naive optimism nor fell into despair of pessimism. So they didn't believe that they would be liberated by certain dates, like the optimistic prisoners. So for example, in publishing, if we're naive optimists, we might say, oh, I will publish a book and it will succeed. It's going to succeed. But if we publish a book like this one and we just wish, that's not going to help us. So it's better to be a realist. It's better to look, okay, these are the reasons why this book won't succeed. But if we tweak it, it might. I'm a big proponent of being a realist, of seeing things not worse than they are, not better than what they are, but just seeing them as they are. And then from there, you make improvements. Realists were those who acknowledged the reality of the situation without sugarcoating it, focused on what they could control, like their attitudes, their inner responses, found meaning in their suffering, adapted their circumstances with a pragmatic approach, doing what was necessary to survive. Okay? So self-publishing, it is possible. It's possible that it can change many people's life, and it can have a great impact in many ways, not just for your life, but for your family's life and for the readers that you have as well. So you can really work on something that can have a big impact, and ideally you will be passionate about it as well. So I believe publishing is great. I wouldn't want to change business model. I wouldn't want to do drop shipping or Amazon FBA or anything like that. But if you've decided to do publishing, then do what you can to improve as a publisher. How to transcend competition and dominate for self-publishers, authors, or anyone else tired of following the herd. So the only thing that you can expect from this video is that I will give you the truth as I see it, and you can take it or leave it. You can follow someone else, you can be confused like these people, but if someone has the result that you want, doesn't it make sense to follow and listen to what they have to say? Even if you don't agree to my advice, then what have you lost? You've gotten a new perspective. So stay with this video and listen to what I'm about to say, because it might change everything for you. So my promise to you is that I will show you how I see publishing. I will show you the current state of the marketplace, and I will show you how I see the future and where we're going. If the world is ending in terms of publishing, I'll share everything with how I see it. So stay with the video, stay focused. So let's first go over how to follow the herd, how to worry about the competition and have a stressful existence. So rule number 1, make competition or beating your competition your main focus. Rule number 2, fish where everyone else is fishing. And rule number 3, do what everyone else is doing and get frustrated when you get the same results as everyone else, which is what? Average. So this is how to follow the herd. I laid it out step by step. You got all the rules. If this is your route that you want to take, just follow these steps. Now I will give you the ultimate drawing example so you can see how this will play out. Okay? So here we have a fisherman. He's got some fishes. And look at this. Maybe there's coming even more fishes. Wow, this looks beautiful, doesn't it? Oh, 4 fishes. Look at this happy fisherman over here. But what happens? Here's another fisherman. And another one. And another one. Now, what started off as 4 fishes for one fisherman has become 1 fish for each fisherman. But now, look at this. What's happening? The boats are just continuously coming. Oh, they're overlaying each other. What is this? This is the red ocean, where everyone else is fishing. This is what happens if you do what everyone else is doing. And if you want to do that, be my guest. Now let's talk about what I prefer to do and what I think is a smarter route. But hey, who am I to tell you what to do and what not to do? So how to transcend competition and dominate without even trying to dominate. So rule number 1, make your reader or your customer your main focus. Rule number 2, find an undiscovered fishing spot. And rule number 3, do what everyone else is not doing, but what the customer wants. And rule 4, focus on one customer avatar for a long time. Let's go through another drawing example. Look at this. What a beautiful boat. It's got so many fishes around them, different types of fishes. Now, this is an example of a blue ocean. Now, how can we get a blue ocean? That's the question. The answer is that we aim to be unique in what we're doing. And how can we be unique? Well, if you follow my videos, you'll discover how to be unique. Step by step, I might even show you. Now, how can this look in reality? I will show you very soon how this can look, how we can get a blue ocean. But first, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about what is happening in book publishing. So we're seeing more and more books, more and more publishers are coming in. And what is happening is that the bids are increasing, for example, for Amazon ads. It's even being taught as a strategy to outbid the competition, etc. People are using that as a strategy to dominate. Now, what will happen? The profit for the average publisher will get less and less, and it will take longer and longer to recoup the investment. And I think that the books will have a shorter shelf life. And my question to you is, what options do you have? Do you want to continue to go down this road where you see that the ocean is getting redder and redder? Is that really where we want to be? Ask yourself that question, because I think it's a worthy question to ask yourself when it comes to book publishing now. We're not in 2012, we're not in 2015, we're in 2024 as of the recording of this video. So things are changing, and they're changing fast with AI and everything that's going on. So let's take a look at some red oceans. What do we have here? We have book publishers going after this Native American herbalist Bible. And we see 20 books in one, 13 books in one. What is this? 25 books in one. And you see the ranking for this book is not particularly good, even though they have 344 reviews and they've got 25 books in one. And look at these covers. They almost look identical. Similar colors, everything. Look at this, 311 reviews. Look at this ranking. It's not even selling one book per day. Now, what happens if we open the book, read the sample? You can see they haven't even added a text on the back. And I'm not bashing this publisher. I'm not, but how is this one book? Book 14, it's how many pages? 18 to 24? How many pages is that? 6 pages? So we have a 6-page book. Frustrating to read due to the frequent lack of spaces between words. Entire sentences repeated. Missing punctuations. And we can go on and on. This just continues. Page 3. We see more and more books. Is this where you want to be? In this red ocean? Look at this. 52 reviews. Million in ranking. So if this is where you want to be my guest. Let's take another example. Share yoga for seniors. Profitable keyword. But what is happening? Books coming every day almost. May 28. What is this? Now I will give this publisher an advice, and that is to change the author name on the cover. Now, I think this is a good publisher overall, so I'm not going to bash this publisher, but you can see what is happening. We see more and more books coming. And yes, you're seeing good rankings for these books, but I would not be surprised if a lot of these publishers are bidding very high to get these types of rankings. So if they're making a profit, that's questionable. And yeah, sure, we see on several pages, but we see they are starting to get a lot of reviews. So this is another example of a red ocean where it will be more and more books. And what you're not seeing is all the books that are not making money. And I'm not trying to be critical towards anyone's approach. I've done these mistakes, or if you either, I mean, it might not even be a mistake if you're making money from this. Go ahead, do it. But I want to give you examples of red seas so you can see, okay, do you want to be here, or would you like to be somewhere else? So here you can see 35 reviews. The cover is quite good. And everyone is doing this 28 days, 10 minutes a day. Everyone is promising the best of the best pretty much right now. So the titles are all looking very similar, etc. You can see Share Yoga, 112 reviews. Let's see. Okay, let's now talk about creating a blue ocean and how that might look. So here we have this person as an example. We can see that he's focusing on one customer avatar, people who want to get fit, and he's been doing it for years. And we can see that his books have a lot of reviews. And if we take a look, he's built a social media, he's built a following, and let's take a look at this book. Now, which one do you think have a higher chance of getting reviews up to 15,000? These Share Yoga, they're doing the same as everyone else, or these books, or this one who's building an audience and focusing on one customer avatar?
See, it's selling for $22. And it's ranked 2,900 in books. So it's selling well. And he's probably making a lot of money from this book. It's quite a long book. Let's take another example. This publisher. He's focusing on the customer. He's focusing on helping people solve problems in one niche. And he is probably not worrying about the competition because he has his own ecosystem. Sure, he's fishing where other people are fishing, but he's fishing in his own pond. And he has fences around it. There's no one allowed to use his particular email address, etc. He's sending out emails to people when he's got a new book, when he's got a new product, and that email is only sent from him. Here's another example. Here we have someone who's only focusing on these activity books and building a brand in terms of coloring books or word searches, etc. And what happens? Here we see one book, 5,000, another book, 236. So these people are creating their own oceans, their own blue oceans. There's so many ways that these books can be found. For example, the customer also bought, and perhaps there are several thousand people following this author page. This is their own blue ocean. All the people following this, they have so many fishes underneath here that no one else can touch. Because when Amazon sends out an email saying that Kite Fox Publishing has published a new book, who gets to see that? Not the competition, the customers. Here we have in the kids category, this one Bluey. What's stopping us from creating a character that is unique and that people can follow? We can follow his journey and the lessons he learned, etc. What's stopping us from doing something similar and creating our own character, which no one can copy? Look at this. And this is just one book. They probably have a lot of books like this. For Dummies. For Dummies was started in 1991. So it hasn't been around for that long. And what have they done? They have a unique angle where they are trying to simplify topics that might be complex, for example, investing or starting a business or personal finance. And they're solving problems for people who want a dumbed down solution, which are many people. People just want a simplified version. They don't always want to be stuck reading books that are so hard to follow and understand and talk on a university level. Sometimes people just want simple. And here I search for busy moms. That's an example of targeting a specific group of people. So busy moms. What do we have here? Here we have someone who's doing social media, motherhood, freelancing, author. So she has her own niche that she's building. She's building her own audience of very specific people. So for example, cooking for busy moms. Maybe it's cleaning for busy moms, organization for busy moms, meal prepping, time saving. You can see all these problems that these people are able to solve for one specific customer. So there's a book called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. And in this book, he talks about creating a monopoly. So going from 0 to 1, that means that we're creating something completely unique. If we take a look at, for example, Facebook, Twitter, etc., this is what their growth graph looks like. It compounds with time, and eventually it goes up like this. Now, in the beginning, it's slow, but as more and more people are getting interested in with this singular focus, they're able to get a graph like this. Same as with Twitter. So they're not focusing on making money in these stages. They're solely focusing on building a customer base and providing value. So what if we take a long-term approach and we do the same thing? That instead of focusing on making a return on investment within 3 months, we focus on building something valuable, something that can grow like this, that can compound and snowball. That's a better approach, because imagine doing publishing like this for 10 years and you're not really building anything of value. Let's say you publish one book like this, then you publish another book in another niche, and then another book in another niche. All these books are separated from each other. They're not building on each other, and they're not building anything that can attach to it. So if you're rolling a snowball, it starts very small, but as you're rolling it bigger and bigger, more and more gets attached to it. And that's what happens with these companies that focus on one problem and solving one problem for one specific customer avatar. So what's next? My advice for you, and it would be my advice to myself, it's to listen to what I have to say, because I have a proven track record. I'm passionate about publishing. You could argue that I'm even obsessed at some points. I'm standing in the shower and this is the idea I got for a video. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm thinking about in my own publishing business. And ideally, I should have made another video today, but I want to get this video out because it's something that's on my mind. And it's something that I see from 8.5 years of experience. This is how I see publishing now. And I believe that my content, the videos I will make, they will be unique and they will be on a higher level thinking. So if you want very basic, I'll have that too. I'll cover the base. But if you want something that's really unique and that can give you an edge, then I think this is the place to be. So my question to you is, can you afford not to subscribe to this channel? Don't make the same mistakes most publishers regret later. In this video, I'll show you the red flags and blind spots many miss when it comes to doing niche research. This could be the difference between success and failure in publishing. These are some of the daily results of my friend who I helped get started with publishing 1.5 years ago. Now I'm here to help you avoid the pitfalls I faced so you can hit your publishing goals faster. The #1 challenge you might face is trademark. This is not something you ever want to cross. You can easily overcome this by doing a US trademark search on the topic you're thinking of publishing a book in. Also pay attention to potential methods that you might add in the subtitle to ensure it's green. It's better to be safe than sorry. If you have Bookbeam, you can also check Trademark there. Bookbeam is my go-to tool for niche research, and I'm still using it today, almost a decade into doing self-publishing. I made it mandatory for my friend, and it's been an integral part of his success. You have a link to it and a discount code in the description of this video if you decide to get it. Okay, let me show you what I mean with Trademark. So I've searched for Weight Watchers here. You can see the books are selling well. So here we see one, Weight Watching, Smart Points. Not Weight Watcher, but Weight Watching. It's a little bit risky. See, all these books are by Weight Watchers. You see some books, they have the 0 point, and we'll get into that later. You can see it's ranking for Weight Watchers. Here you have someone saying my WW, which stands for Weight Watchers, but they don't have Weight Watchers in the title. You see 0 point again. It was recently published, so that is one thing to keep in mind. So we still don't see anyone who's there to publish on Weight Watchers specifically yet. Here we see the first one, Weight Watcher New Complete Cookbook. So you can see the date here. I assume that if you look back to this in 1 year, you will not see this book being published. And the reason for this, here's Bookbeam, the tool I was talking about, is that Weight Watcher is trademarked. And you can see here when you search on Bookbeam, you see that it's live here, the trademark, so the status. And if we search here for 0 point, we can see here, that one is live as well. And if we take a look with Google as well, we see Meet the Weight Watchers, 0 point, and then TM. So these publishers are definitely playing a bit with fire. So if any of those books are your books, then I'd highly recommend that you unpublish them for this reason, because it's not worth the risk. You want to keep your Amazon account safe. And moving on, the challenge #2 is that you get one of these many softwares that can truly help us make research simpler, or you follow a method that is purely numbers based, but you fail to take non-qualitative aspects into account. Non-qualitative, what a fancy word, what does that even mean? It means things such as what the competition looks like, not just based on the number of reviews, but also their book covers, their angles, or any potential weaknesses or strengths of the competition. Okay, let's take a look at this, solely relying on the numbers of the softwares. So here's another software I very much like, Titans Pro. I'll leave a link in the description as well. So overall, the scores that we get from these softwares they can be extremely helpful, but we don't only want to rely on them. So if we take a look here, we see books selling well, but we also see that the covers are very much looking the same. And we also need to take into consideration, what are they promising here? We see 18 books in one. That's a lot. You also see 1,000 traditional remedies, and you also need to go down and see the books that are not selling. So take into consideration that these books were recently published, and look at the covers. See, is there a way to complement the market before I dive into a niche like this? And I will show deeper analysis later on for niches as well. But you can see a clear pattern that a lot of these covers are looking similar. So ideally in a case like this, look at, okay, is there another cover style that might work well? And of course, take into consideration what these books are promising. So here we see 15 books in one, but still the sales rank is not super good. And here we see 50 reviews and 13 books in one, and it's showing a 5-star rating. So it's above 4.9. So for example, let's say you are not doing a Bible and you're instead doing one individual book, then you can see here it says everyone is promising this 13 or 18 books in one, and this one looks like it's less compared to the other books. These things might not be visible for the beginner eye, which is why it's so important to educate yourself on all these different components. For those who enrolled in the Trifecta and Driven Publishers Elite, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. It will take hours to give you a full understanding, but in essence, you want to consider more than just numbers. For example, think about whether a certain book is driving outside traffic, meaning that someone is promoting the book on social media, and that is leading to the sales rank being so low, which is what we want. Also consider when the book was published. A lot of publishers are now willing to be in the red in terms of ad spend for several months in order to gain rank, which makes the bestseller rank misleading at first glance. Moving on to challenge number 3. You might be considering topics that carry a lot of risk if the information is incorrect. Avoid topics that can lead to a lot of frustration from the readers if the information is incorrect, unless you're 100% certain that the information is accurate and will stay up to date. If you're making a book about building a house, then if the information inside that book is inaccurate, then that carries a lot more risk compared to a reader of, let's say, a simple coloring book. So you can see here what I've searched for, and this can be considered a risky topic to deal with, especially if you're not a doctor. This one is independently published. It says Dr. Janet Howell. Now, is this person really a doctor? That is a question, because instead of treating patients, she's focusing on making air fryer cookbooks and different books about different topics. And this one looks a little bit AI generated, and we see here AI overused words such as vibrant. So this is something I highly advise against. Never lie about the credentials. I'm not saying that this person is doing that necessarily, but this is not something we ever want to do. So think about if the topic is carrying a lot of risk or if it's a very highly sensitive topic. Challenge number 4 is doing what everyone else is doing. You'll see many publishers who found these great and profitable niches, but instead of thinking why the customer is going to buy their book, they're simply adding to the noise by creating what is already out there. So when you're doing niche research, look at the angles of the books, look at the titles, look at the covers of the colors, read the customer reviews. Don't just go to ChatGPT and tell it to make a generic title and outline and publish it. Stop and think. I know it's painful, people don't like to think, but in this case, this is where the money is, in thinking. One tip is to put yourself in the potential buyer's shoes when you're looking at the book title and competing book titles. When you're looking at your book title and the competing books titles, which one attracts you the most and why? Let's take a look at this niche. We can see the top books are selling well, and we see this first book, it has 50 cute kittens, And then we can take a look at some other books that are not selling as well, and we also see the same pattern. 50. 50. So if we take a look at the sales rank here, we see 1 million in sales rank. We see 579. And we have 897. So what you want to ask yourself in this scenario is that if I only do the same book that is already on the market, is that the best use of my time, or are there other areas that might be better, or can I complement the market in a different way? Challenge number 5 that I've seen is that some people completely ignore the numbers. So just like you don't want to be over-reliant on the numbers, you also don't want to completely ignore them, because they do tell you a story. How well are the existing books selling? Customers will also look at the number of reviews for a book, and in general, they will think that a higher number of reviews, or the higher the rating, means that the book is better. That's the cold, uncomfortable truth. It's not either numbers or not, it's both. Okay, so let's take a look at completely ignoring the numbers. Let's say I'm thinking of what people want. I'm thinking that people want to get rich quick. Okay, then it makes sense to make a book on how to get rich quick, right? This is the pattern that a lot of people are thinking. They think that, okay, this is what people want, then thus I make a book about it. But you want to validate with the numbers, is it actually something that people want? And if we take a look here, we see 3 million in ranking for this book, How to Get Rich Quick. We see 3 million as well. And this one, it hasn't sold at all. Challenge number 6 is that you're not looking at the overall pictures. You will see books on page 1 for Share Yoga all selling well. However, does that mean that that niche is a good niche to go into? No, because you're not seeing the 50+ pages with books that are not selling well. So don't just judge page number 1. Look at how many publishers have tried and failed and learn from them. Okay, let's take a look at not looking at the overall picture. So here we see Share Yoga for Seniors. The ranks are looking excellent. This must be a good niche to jump into. See 9,000, 20,000, 14,000, 57,000. But what you're not seeing in this niche is that many of these books might be running ads at a loss. So here we can see a book. We're on page 3 now. We see it's published in August of 2024. And we see it has 990 in the bookstore, and we see it has 78 reviews. And you can go on this and look yourself, go to page 10, go to page 30, etc., and see how many books that have a lot of reviews, yet they're not selling well. If you want to get this tool that I'm able to see this sales rank like this, it's called DS Amazon Quick View. It's a free plugin. It's very helpful. So you don't have to click on the book to see the sales rank. Challenge number 7 is that many publishers lack a bigger strategy. This one is placed last because you can still make a lot of money without this, but I'm a big proponent of thinking long-term and building something that can compound on itself. We have parenting, and we have homemade soap, skincare. We have speed reading. We have Amazon Echo, Fire HD. We have some journals. Now, one could argue that the same customer avatar could be interested in all those topics. So it's definitely not the worst I've seen, but what we want is ideally to have the author name be a bit more focused. So if we take a look here at Cocovio, we see that the covers, the font following a similar style on the cover, and we see that they are only doing coloring books. So when people are following the Cocovio author page, they know exactly what to expect, which is coloring books. And we can see that they also have a bigger strategy in terms of social media. You can see the amount of likes they're getting per post. So this is obviously driving a lot of sales for their books. This is what I regret, and please don't do what I did. After 6 months of publishing, I was making $5,000 per month. If making money from book publishing was this easy, then what about other opportunities? I listened to the gurus of the time and I did what they recommended. Started looking for bigger and better opportunities online. I thought the grass was greener elsewhere and that everything I touched turned to gold. I've never been more humbled in my life. After spending hundreds of hours and money I would never get back, I finally understood publishing is the way for me. You'll see real book examples later on why I think this way, but for now, imagine how many millions of people are visiting Amazon all over the world. And the most important thing, they have their credit card connected to the platform. They're not there to search for information. They are there to buy. So why not have them buy from you and me? We can create value to customers and make them buy from us. But Peter, it's not that simple. What is it that's not that simple? You're not inventing a rocket ship. If we break down publishing to its first principle, then all we're doing is that we are creating books that people want to buy. In other words, publishing is about matching books with readers' demand. But Peter, it's easy for you to say. You started almost a decade ago when it was less competitive. Here's some news. Wherever there's money to be made, there will eventually be competition. Thus, if I want to make money, I go where it's the most competition, right? Hang on there. We still have to keep correlation and causation separate. Just because competition is correlated with profitable markets doesn't mean that competing in the most crowded space will yield the most success. So ideally, we want to find opportunities where demand is strong and differentiation or unmet need still exists. Let's not talk about my results. Some people would say, Peter, you just succeed because of your determination, because you did what we others should have done. You stuck with publishing. Well, first of all, I didn't, as I briefly discussed. I did the same mistake that so many people have done. I quit and then I came back. Sure, I failed faster and thus I got valuable insights earlier on. But if you don't think I picked up some puzzle pieces that can make a huge difference besides just being determined, then I'd think again if I were you. Because even me, after doing publishing for almost a decade, I'm learning every elite meeting we have. Last meeting, we went around the table and we discussed our best Amazon ad strategy. I said exactly what I'm currently doing based on advice from someone who spent millions of dollars running Amazon ads for FBA products. So ignore my results. Look at the results of my friend who I helped get started with publishing. He posted this inside the elites. He's aiming for $40,000 this month. On the Publisher Champ screenshot here, we see $882 in net profit in 1 day. He's been doing publishing for 1.5 years. Amazon KDP is something he's doing on the side. He works full-time as a realtor. Yes, he had capital to invest, but it goes to show that it's not my determination that is creating these results. It is because we're solving book publishing from a first principle, which once again is creating books that people want to buy. Let's say someone is watching this and they've already published one or several books, but they've yet to see the success they want. I would dare to say that most people who have been doing publishing for a long time have been there. A book doesn't do what we want. What do? We ask the American question, why? Why is my book not selling? And you don't let it go, no matter how uncomfortable the answer might be. This is the time to let your ego take a hit. Perhaps you realize that the book cover design that you spend hours on isn't good enough. Or perhaps that your creative idea for a book wasn't in high enough demand. Or perhaps your book description isn't connecting with exactly what the readers are looking for. Or maybe the competition is simply overall better than your book. Whatever it is, invite the answers to come to you. They are there to help you, not to hurt you. This is how I came back to publishing after quitting and built a 7-figure business. I committed. I said I will get book publishing to work or I will go under in the process. I was willing to look at the cold and uncomfortable truth, including my own weaknesses. I said to myself, it doesn't matter if competition increases, algorithms changes, or anything else. As long as there will be people buying books, there will be publishers making money from those books being published. Yes, I built a brand. Yes, I leveraged the compound effect. And yes, I did look at the small little details
Eventually, at least. Oh boy, did I make some mistake on those. And yes, I did build a system. And yes, I did change my mindset. And yes, I got the job done whether I felt like it or not. But none of these things really matter unless I did the one thing that mattered most, which is creating books that people want to buy. Okay, let's take a look at the Amazon bestseller list currently. So here we start seeing some self-published books. We see here under publisher, independently published, How to Draw Everything, 300 drawings. Mom, I Want to Hear Your Story, also independently published. Dad, I Want to Hear Your Story, also independently published. 106 pages, so it's not that long. Interesting Facts for Curious Minds. Can see this one doing well now during Christmas. We have Silly Jokes for Kids. We have coloring books. And these contain keywords that people search for. So that is why these books are selling so well. It is in demand. It's what people want. Here we see CreateSpace independently publishing platform. This was an old platform that self-publisher used that later merged with KDP. And you can see here the books. So they are on specific topics that people are interested in buying. And they have keywords in the title that people are searching for. In this case, I would say that through Amazon advertising, this one is being noticed. I'm not sure if people are searching for Dad, I Want to Hear Your Story. I think it's a concept that has become popular, and then eventually through advertising, etc., people are finding these books. Would you rather book for kids? So just as an example, let's take a look. Estimated monthly revenue. We see here, let's take this one, How to Draw Everything. According to KD Spy, it's making over 400,000. Same with this one. Are these numbers correct? That's a question, but it is a lot of money, especially if you're in the 5 in the bookstores. So it's impressive. Now let's take a look at something that is selling well currently. We have Christmas coloring books, and here we see 107, 337, 1,000. So if you want to check out what these numbers mean, you can either have KD Spy, or you can go to Kindle Sales Calculator, which is a free tool that you can see how many books they're selling, etc. So you see here the estimated monthly revenue, $74,000, $25,000. Now, after Christmas, of course, these books will not be selling like this. But it goes to show, you can see that this is meeting demand. And I went through pages and pages, try to look at and see if I can find books that aren't selling. So I went to page 12, just to show examples of books that aren't that good, that fit the question, why? Why is my book not selling? But unfortunately, I am on page 12 and I'm still seeing books selling. We see here 157,000, 87,000, 105,000, 156,000, 122,000, and it doesn't have any reviews. 105 has a 4-star rating. Here we see 0 reviews, and it has 79,000 in ranking. So this book, according to KD Spy, will make over $500 this month. So if you say that publishing is not working or publishing is too competitive, then I would look at these types of examples to show myself that my limiting beliefs that publishing is impossible or whatever, that when you look at things like this, it's very hard to say. So this is why I like publishing, and why I will continue to do publishing, and why I will not do any other business model for a very long time. And just imagine all of these trending topics that will come. For example, you will have Easter, you will have certain events happening. Right now, AI is popular, you have cryptocurrency being popular, etc., etc. So I'm not saying go after trendy topics necessarily, but this is an example where we see that the demand is high, and thus people are making money. And even though the competition is high, we've gone to page 12, we still see books making money. And imagine being paid for something that you did years ago.
That is often what people who have been doing publishing realize, that they go away, they do something else, but then they look and they see that they're still getting paid for work they did on KDP years ago. So if that's not the definition of passive income, I don't know what is. I want to end this video saying that book publishing is not just about making money. Sure, it grabs people's attention, and that's why I talk about it. However, if you stick with this journey long enough, you'll realize that what might be even more valuable are the relationships you build and the person you become along the way. Unlocking new strategies is better than any computer or video game I've ever played. And imagine working on something you enjoy working on, going from vision to reality with your book projects. Stay in the game and avoid my regret, or at least minimize it if you've already done it. I hope to hear your success story one day. In this video, I want to talk about the #1 mistake I see new self-publishers make when they start on Amazon KDP. I believe that even more advanced publishers will benefit from watching this video because it's always good to be reminded, and you might be able to pick up something from a different angle. So you might get a new perspective on something. So it's always good. So listen to 2xP if you're more advanced. So what I try to do in these videos is that I try to share the lessons I've learned along the way to building a 7-figure publishing business. So you can save time, money, energy, and a lot of heartache that I had to go through. So I think this video will be very valuable, especially if you're just starting out. Now, this video is geared and it's taken into consideration that you want to make sales. If you just want to publish the books, then maybe not everything in this video will be relevant. Now, this is for every type of publisher, whether you're doing fiction, nonfiction, low content, medium content, etc. So I do primarily nonfiction, high content books, but regardless, this video is applicable to everyone. So let's go over an analogy that I think will drive this mistake home. So let's imagine that we are going to build a house. And what would we do? Now, it's a big investment, so we would want to make sure that we pick the right location for our house. So we have, for example, maybe we want to build a house in the town, or we want to build it in the suburb. And there may be some factors that we want to take into consideration. So for example, is it close to a school? Is there a supermarket? Because if it's close to a school, that might mean that we can have families that want to buy this house, or if it's close to a supermarket, is more appealing for several different reasons. So we ideally want to build a house in a proven area. And even if we build it a little bit outside, we at least want a road to the house, in my opinion, because we want to be able to get people to our house if we want visitors. So how does this relate to publishing a book? So we can see the location as the topic or the niche. So we want to make sure that we place our book ideally in a place where there's already people searching for that book. So are people searching for this topic? And another thing that we might take into consideration is if the topic is trending, then that can be a plus. And does it fulfill a demand or desire amongst a group of people? So we'll go deeper into this later on, but let's continue. So the next thing we want to do is answer the question, why? Why would people buy our books? Even if we place the house, we build a house in the right location, why are they going to buy our house? Why are they going to buy our books? Now, in my opinion, there are 3 different reasons why people would buy our book. And either it's because we're the best, or we fit right in, or we have a unique angle, meaning that our book stands out. It's the red amongst the black, or it's the fish that swims the opposite way. Now, if we take a look at the best, I think that's obvious. Maybe it's the best book, it's the highest quality, maybe it's the most popular, maybe it has the most reviews, and maybe it has the best book cover, etc., etc. Maybe we have it recommended by some professional, etc. So that is one way, and we will look at examples of this on Amazon soon, or it fits right in. Now, my belief is that we either want to be the best or unique, but this also works. So it fits right in, it's the puzzle, it goes together, it matches what they want, and maybe we have some component, for example, we have the lowest price or something like that, that makes it appealing to other people. And the uniqueness, we talked about that. So let's look at some live examples now. So here I've searched for wall Pilates for women. So if we take a look at this top result, I think that this one is selling the best because it's the best, probably. At least if we look at the reviews, it's 4.8 stars. We see a video course included. We have 200 clear illustrations. Maybe if we want to outdo this one, maybe it is in color, I don't know, but maybe if we make a book in color, maybe that will be even better than this one. But I think that it's safe to say that this one has gone the extra mile. If we take a look at the 28-day plan, etc., etc. Now we have other books selling well. So this is the sales rank, and we see that they're selling because they fit right in. They are also performing, so it matches what the target audience wants. Now, what is an example of being unique? So if we take a look at this book, Profit First, we can see that this book swims against the current, or at least it goes against a certain current. It doesn't talk about increasing payroll, or it doesn't talk about increasing expenses for supplies, etc., etc. So here it makes a statement, we first want to focus on profit. Now, if we take a look at Amazon, that's an example of a big company that didn't focus on profit. So for nearly 20 years, they didn't make a profit. So this was posted in 2013. So I think that it's safe to say that we can realize that there are many different angles that you can take when it comes to, for example, business books, exercise books, diet books, etc., etc. So one thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to build a shack in town, because that will not lead to us selling the house or selling the book. If we publish in town, meaning in an area where there's a lot of books, a lot of competition, a lot of demand, then I think it is wise to make sure that we at least meet the standards. So we at least fit right in, or we're the best, or we're unique in some way. Now, there is another strategy, and I've called this the suburb strategy. I'm just making terms up and words up, but hey, imagine if this one takes off and Gordon Ramsay walks into his publisher and the publisher answers that, hey, sorry, Gordon, we ain't taking your book. We're going with the suburb strategy this year. So what is this? It's publishing in a more specific topic or targeting a more specific target audience. So let's take a look at an example. So we can say that a more general term is Python programming, but if we add for cybersecurity, that makes it more niche, more long tail, and more specific. So that is an example of making the topic more specific. Another example of making the target audience more specific is adding over 60. So wall pilates for women over 60. And from what I can see here, at least in the beginning, we don't have anything specifically for women over 60. We have for seniors, but that is for both men and women. So this could be an idea of being more niche. Now, obviously, there will be less traffic to this long tail keyword, but the good thing is that the target audience will feel like this book is made just for them. And that can be very powerful. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at is the plan. And what is the plan? If we're building a house, we want to make sure that the architectural design, the plan, makes sense. So for example, we don't want to place probably 2 bathrooms next to each other, or we want to make sure that we have a porch. So this could be, we want to make sure that we have an introduction to the book and that it's laid out so it makes sense. For example, having 2 bathrooms can be likened to having repetitive chapters, etc. So we want to make sure that we have a plan that makes sense and that is structured well, etc. And of course, we have different methods of making sure that we have a plan that makes sense. We can look at what other books are doing, but we can also think through, as a customer, does it make sense to read the book in this order? Or does it make sense to include this? Will this help them? And we try to cut out the things that will not help them if we're doing a nonfiction book, for example. Then we move on to the building phase. So now we have the plan. Now it's time for the builders to start building the house, and we want the builders to follow the plan, and we want them to use good material, because if they use bad material, then it will not be a very steady house, and we want them to follow the schedule. So we want them to build it on time, because we don't want to be built unnecessarily, or we don't want to be without a house that we can't sell for very long. So that is similar to having a writer or writing the book yourself. We want to follow the structure, A, B, and C, that we laid out before. And if changes are needed, for example, let's say the builders, they encounter something, then they need to tell the architect that, hey, we want to make some changes because we think this makes most sense. And if it makes sense, then we can make changes, just like we can be adaptable with the books, but we want to make sure that we get that information. So the plan needs to be followed, but can be adapted. And we want to follow the schedule. So if we're writing the book ourselves, we want to set a goal. Okay, we're writing 1,000 words every day for 5 days a week, or we're having the writer have a clear deadline. So avoiding bad material might be avoiding weak words, poor sentence structures, grammatical or spelling errors, etc. Now, it's okay if it's a little bit messy during the building phase, because we want to move forward, we want to make progress, and we want to be on schedule, and we can clean up this mess later by editing the book or having an editor edit the book. Okay, so the book is now done, the house is done. What do we want to do then? We want to paint the house, and we want to make sure that we have a fence that looks nice, and we have a driveway, and etc. We have a good presentation of the house, so we make it appealing. Now, this is similar to having a good book cover for the book, and we want to think about the different components for the book cover. So, for example, inclusivity, if we're choosing to include people on the cover, if the book is for both men and women, we include both men and women, or we make it gender neutral, or if it's for kids, we may include kids of different colors, different genders, etc. So that is one example. And the book description, that's also something that will help sell the book. So that is the presentation of the book. So we have many different components. We can break this down even further, but that's not the goal of this video. This video is to give you an overview of the biggest mistake. So let's continue. So now what? Now it's time to make it known. And we can make it known by, for example, running ads. So if we want to sell the house, we run ads and tell people, hey, we got a house for sale. Or we run Amazon ads and we tell people on the Amazon website that, hey, we have a book. And we might also have an audience built up. And if that's the case, then we can drive traffic to our book. And we can also place our book in front of other people's audience. Now, we want to make sure that the audience is relevant to the book topic. So, for example, if our book is about finance, then it doesn't make sense to have it in a paper about dog training, for example. Okay, so there you have it. The number one mistake self-publishers make when starting on Amazon KDP is approaching it with too little intention, not thinking about this. And I think that one of the reasons for that is that we're not thinking of it like if we were to approach it with a bigger investment. And I do believe that there is a big investment because you're investing your time, you're investing your money, your energy, your other resources, perhaps other people's resources. So if you approach it a little bit more like as if you were going to build a house, then I think you would do it with more intention. Now let's talk about the key to making it big. Let's first take an example of the uncaring carrying hold. Now, what is this? It doesn't look nice. Perhaps it's not placed very well in a good location, etc. And the personnel, they're just eating chips and watching TV. They're not taking care of the elderly. And it's a mess. No one is cleaning it up, etc. So it's unorganized. And that is an example of what we don't want to do. However, what this creates is an opportunity for the caring elderly home to step in. So imagine, perhaps we already have experience running elderly homes and we know where is the best location and we hire the right people that actually care for the elders and we make them happy and we make their family happy and everything is just better. So for example, the layout in the home makes sense, meaning that we do it step by step in the book. For example, if we're making a nonfiction book, it's very step by step, follow these things. There's no unnecessary information, no unnecessary steps that the elders need to take, etc. And we have nice paintings inside the elderly homes, so they get happy. We have images in our books that either help explain the concept or makes the book more alive, for example. So I believe that that is one of the keys to making it big, is meeting or finding and fulfilling an unmet need. If you like this video, I have more educational videos on Skool, and there's a community as well. It's free to join. Check it out. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.